sewer alligator stories date back to the late 1920s and early 1930s. In most instances they are a part of contemporary legend. They are based upon reports of alligator sightings and rather unorthodox locations, in particular New York City. The New York Times reports the city rescues 100 alligators per year, some directly from homes where they are kept as illegal pets, which can be legally ordered online in other states, and are legal to mail when small, and some from outside, where they can attract considerable attention, though mostly above ground. Though escapees and former pets may survive for a short time in New York sewers, longer-term survival is not possible due to low temperatures and the bacteria in human feces. Sewer maintenance crews insist there is no underground population. A similar story from 1851 involves feral pigs in the sewers of Hampstead, London. Following the reports of sewer alligators in the 1930s, the story has built up over the decades and become more of a contemporary legend. Many have even questioned how accurate the original stories are, and some have even suggested they are fictions created by Teddy May, who was the commissioner of sewers at the time. Interviews with him were the basis of the first published accounts of sewer alligators. However, the story of the sewer gator in New York City is well known, and various versions have been told. In their honor, February 9th is Alligators in the Sewers Day in Manhattan. As late as the middle of the 20th century, souvenir shops in Florida sold live baby alligators, in small fish tanks, as novelty souvenirs. Tourists from New York City would buy a baby alligator, and try to raise it as a pet. When the alligator grew too large for comfort, the family would proceed to flush the reptile down the toilet. What happens next varies. The most common story is that the alligators survive, and reside within the sewer, and reproduce, feeding on rats and garbage, growing to huge sizes, and striking fear into sewer workers. In Robert Daly's book The World Beneath the City, 1959, he comments that one night a sewer worker in New York City was shocked to find a large albino alligator swimming toward him. Weeks of hunting followed. The Journal of American Folklore has this to say on the subject. In 1959 a book entitled The World Beneath the City was published by Lippincott. Written by Robert Daly, it is a history of the problems involved in the development of the network of utilities beneath Manhattan Island. And in the midst of the stories of engineering problems and political deals is a chapter entitled Alligators in the Sewers, CPP 187-189. It is based on the author's interviews with Teddy May, who had been Commissioner of Sewers in New York for some 30 years. According to May, sewer inspectors first reported seeing alligators in 1935, but neither May nor anyone else believed them. Instead, he set men to watch the sewer walkers to find out how they were obtaining whiskey down in the pipes. Persistent reports, however, perhaps including the newspaper item discovered by Coleman, caused May to go down to find out for himself. He found that the reports were true. The beam of his own flashlight had spotlighted alligators whose length, on the average, was about 2 feet. May started an extermination campaign, using poison bait followed by flooding of the side tunnels to flush the beasts out into the major arteries where hunters with .22 rifles were waiting. He announced in 1937 that the gators were gone. Reported sightings in 1948 and 1966 were not confirmed. However, there is no mention of blind albino alligators, and May suggests that the baby alligators were dumped down storm drains rather than flushed down the toilet. An additional reference to the sewer alligator exists in Thomas Pynchon's first novel, V. It fictionalizes the account, stating Macy's was selling them for a time for 50 cents. Eventually the children became bored with the pets, setting them loose in the streets as well as flushing them into the sewers. Rather than poison, shotguns were used as the remedy. Benny Profane, one of the main characters in the book, continues to hunt them as a full-time job until the population is reduced. A 1973 children's book, The Great Escape, or The Sewer Story by Peter Lipman anthropomorphizes these alligators, and has them dress up in disguise as humans, and charter an airplane to fly them home to the Florida swamps. Some versions go further to suggest that, after the alligator was disposed of at such a young age, it would live the majority of its life in an environment not exposed to sunlight, and thus it would apparently in time lose its eyesight, and the pigment in its hide, and that the reptile would grow to be blind, and completely albino, pure white in color with red or pink eyes. Another reason why an albino alligator would retreat to an underground sewer is its vulnerability to the sun in the wild, as there is no dark pigment in the creature's skin. It has no protection from the sun, which makes it very hard for it to survive in the wild. Some people even spoke of mutant alligators living in the sewers, which have been exposed to many different types of toxic chemical waste which altered them, making them deformed, and sometimes even larger, and with strange coloring. A gigantic mutant alligator based on these myths appears in the 1980 film of the same name. Albino alligators feature in the Thomas Pynchon novel V. One 1927 account describes an experience of a Pittsburgh Bureau of Highways and Sewers employee who was assigned the task of clearing out a section of sewer pipe on Royal Street in the north side section of the city. The account reads, "He removed the manhole cover and began to clear an obstruction when he realized that a set of evil-looking eyes was staring at him. He then removed a 3-foot alligator and took it home with him." There are other numerous recent media accounts of alligators occupying storm drains and sewer pipes, all from states in the southern U.S. In Paris, France, a Nile crocodile was captured by firefighters in the sewers below the Pont Neuf Bridge on March 7, 1984. The crocodile, named Eleanor, lived at the aquarium in Vaughan and passed in May 2022. A 2-foot, (0.61 meters), baby alligator was caught in 2010 by the NYPD in the sewers in Queens. However, it is unlikely that a fully grown adult would survive for long in New York, due to the cold winter temperatures. Alligators have been sighted in the drains and sewers of Florida as recently as 2017, due to many of these waste outlets backing out onto the swamps. During storm surges, and in the colder winter months, alligators sometimes shelter in convenient drains and hunt for rats to supplement their diet.